go. Okay, hello everyone. Everyone say a nice big hello. Welcome to welcome one and all to the Geek Battle Show here on the Extreme Improv Xstreamed YouTube channel. If you haven't done so already, please smash that subscribe button. And we've got stuff coming up in the comments before we even got the show going here. David Sarton says, hey, I actually remembered to tune in at the start. Well, there you go. And I actually forgot to start it for about 7 minutes. So, you know, we're running a tiny bit late here. Let's see. Jimmy Mack in the comments says, question for the geeks. Who was Multiverse of Madness made for? Who was its target audience? That is a heck of a good question. I'm not sure. Like, feel free to put your thoughts into the comments section, Jimmy Mack. Let's just launch into answering this. So the question was, who was Multiverse of Madness made for? And who was its target audience? Anyone?
I would say those people after seeing Spider-Verse, and also for the people who desperately wanted another sequel for Doctor Strange, and also for people who wanted to know what happens after WandaVision.
Well, yeah, okay. Like, what I'll agree with there is I definitely think that we didn't get the original plan for Doctor Strange 2. I think that after Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse happened, like, both Marvel and Sony looked at it and they were like, why aren't we doing this with our live-action actors? And whatever they'd got planned, they threw out the window. And it was just like, right, so we'll start with Spider-Man, because that's where we already were. Let's bring all the Spider-Men together. And then for Doctor Strange, they were like, right, well, we need to do something to follow what these guys are doing over there. So we're going to bring in Patrick Stewart. We're going to bring in whatever. Like, to be honest, Multiverse of Madness was a massive letdown. Like, other than Patrick Stewart, there was nothing for me in it. Right? It was got the term multiverse in the title, but it literally did nothing.
He was a buzzkill, right? I mean, he and Mr. Fantastic was also a buzzkill.
Yeah, well, like, Mr. Fantastic, like, you know, he just, like, they gave a very brief introduction to him and then, like, just killed him off instantly. Like,
and then contradicted this entire point. This is the smartest man in the universe. And the next scene, he is the dumbest person in the multiverse.
Yeah, exactly, you know. Gosh, I don't know who it was made for. Right, we've also Marty Gordon. Look, all these people in the comments could be on the show. Right, but no, this is great. Marty Gordon says, I wish Scott Derrickson. I keep saying Dickinson. I was like, that's not right. Right, Dickhead son. Right, Scott Derrickson had made Strange 2 instead of Raimi. Did he make the first one?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't like the first one that much. Like, I'll be honest. The first Doctor Strange, I wasn't a huge fan of it.
Really?
Yeah, it was just Inception. No, it was just Inception. And I guess back then, because I'm a big Sherlock fan, hearing Benedict Cumberbatch doing like his best Hugh Laurie bad American Dr. House accent just really didn't sit well with me. But I've got used to it now, so what can I say?
I enjoyed the first one. I thought it was really clever and creative. For the most part, and also the ending was how Doctor Strange handled the whole situation made it like, oh, this is not about just punching stuff. He's doing like it was kind of like a Sherlock move that he pulled with Dormammu, like where trapping.
No, like Jesus, like that drives me nuts more than anything. He just walked in, Dormammu, we have a problem or whatever. Just like, and you're watching that for 3 minutes and like, what the hell is a Dormammu? I was thinking in the end. It's like
Dormammu is an interdimensional being. That's
I get that now, but at the time I was just like, what is this word Dormammu that I'm hearing over and over again? For like, just as he speaks to it. If you know the video game Star Fox, it was basically he was like the giant. Okay, so hang on, Star Fox has got like a fox. It's like literally a fox, and he flies one of these ships. This is called an R-wing, and when you play the game and you've got this thing and it looks like this on the screen, and then there is oh my god, I literally am recreating Star Fox here. And then there is a big head that you're shooting at. That is really cool. I didn't realise I could do that. And basically, it was just like it was the final boss from Star Fox. I've got no idea. Right. Anyway, let's see what else we got in the comments. We will get on with the show in a minute. Jimmy Mack says, I wanted John Krasinski and Martin Freeman to play dueling Doctor Stranges. And he says he's at work. That would have been good with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman together again, but what can I say? And obviously they were the same Office character, I guess. And then Marty says, I want to be on the show. I'm going out soon. Oh. This is our most popular comment section since our new Coke discussion from last week. Right, anyway, let's meet tonight's performers. Andrew, say hello to the people. And if you have a random geek fact, audience, if you have a random geek fact, put it in the comments. We'll discuss. Because Andrew's about to tell us something about James Bond.
Hi, I'm Andrew. Yeah,
oh,
James
hang on. Suddenly some sound has kicked through. Right, I just need to switch this off. Like, Andrew, it's like your theme music to down. Right, and you're muted. No, you're not. Why aren't you muted? Is that from me or is that from someone else?
I think it was from you, but now it's gone.
It's gone. Excellent. Right, okay, good. Don't know why that suddenly started. So, Andrew, without your theme tune, what is your geek trivia fact?
My geek trivia fact, ever wondered where Ian Fleming got the name James Bond from? Ian Fleming was an avid bird watcher. He had a book called Birds of the West Indies. The name of the author was James Bond. That's where he took the name from.
Wow. Do you remember that old advert where there's the guy's like, I want Fly Fishing by J.R. Hartley, and they look in the yellow pages? No, that's like such a famous advert where it's like...
I don't watch adverts.
Like, yeah, but it was for like yellow pages. This was like 20 years ago, right? And it was like, this old man, he's like, I want the book Fly Fishing by J.R. Hartley. And he then found like in the yellow pages where there was like an old bookshop. I've got a feeling this isn't going to blow up the comment section as much as New Code. Okay, bonus point there, Andrew. Capital Fave, tell us your name, which is Capital Fave, and tell us a random geek trivia fact.
Hail everyone, hailing from the land of bloodthirsty witches and so many more. My name is Captain Dave, and my geek fact for today is that, you know the term Kung Fu that we like to use as a Chinese martial art, which is not actually true. So Kung Fu is a mispronunciation of Gong Fu or something. It starts with a G actually, if you actually spell it. The thing is that Kung Fu does not mean a particular martial art. Kung Fu means great skill or acquired skill that is practiced and learned through long periods of time. That's why Chinese people preserve to other martial arts, Muay Thai, they would say it as Thai Kung Fu. And they would look at you, David, and say, you have great improv Kung Fu. They would look at us and say, we have great geek Kung Fu. And how this translation got mixed with it is because like the Chinese great skill as a country they acquired is their martial arts. Lots of martial arts, in fact, not just one. So they would refer to that as Kung Fu, is their Kung Fu martial arts, meaning that their great skills is martial art. It does not mean particularly Kung Fu means the tiger punch, monkey punch, the tiger claw. No, there's a Shaolin, and there are 409 something martial arts in Chinese martial arts history. So Kung Fu does not mean a particular martial art.
So what you're telling me is it's actually supposed to be pronounced like Gung Fu.
Yeah, it's G-O.
G-O, Gong Fu.
Gong Fu.
Everybody was Gong Fu fighting. Right, okay. Yes. So, anyway, that's really interesting, Cap. I never knew that. Bonus point there, bonus point. Okay, let's go have a quick look.
This was actually given to me by a martial artist he's a mixed martial artist from America. He went to China to promote MMA, and then he learned that this is actually what they refer to as Kung Fu, and they actually asked him to show us your American Kung Fu, and he was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
What American Kung Fu?
Gosh knows. Now, anyway, so a couple more things from the comments that we can respond to. An audience, feel free, if there's anything you want us to discuss, put it into the comments section. And anything rather than speaking to these guys, what can I say? Right, so, no, we can all respond to it. So, Andrew, this is for you. Marty says James Bond quite likes the birds. So there you go.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, absolutely. Marty says, I want to be on the show, I'm going out soon, but then he says, I would talk about The Witcher and Sliders, but I know that will be covered. Right, anyway, so the Multiverse of Madness. Here's a piece of trivia for you. In Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, when Doctor Strange in America have arrived in the main alternate dimension that they end up in throughout the film, pretty much the first thing that they notice that's different about this parallel dimension is that the traffic lights work differently, which is the first thing that Quinn Mallory noticed was different when he went to a parallel dimension in the very first episode of Sliders. That cannot be a coincidence. It has to be a Sliders reference because they know Sliders is where it's at. So, Jimmy Mack also says, Geek Fact, not James Bond, Geek Fact, in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Raoul was played by Joel Silver, made fairly unrecognisable with a beard. He and Disney head Michael Eisner hated each other, so he was cast by Zemeckis just to screw with Eisner, who didn't realise Silver was in the film until afterwards. Look at that. Marty says, I knew it. I don't know what that was about, though. But then Jimmy Mack says, real-life James Bond was an ornithologist. There you go. So, anyway, guys, have you seen anything this week that you want to discuss? I'll keep an eye on the chat if the audience wants to bring up anything more, or ask us anything, and we will answer it. Anything.
I've seen Obi-Wan Kenobi now.
What, the whole thing?
Yeah.
Well, hello there. So, what did you think of it? Don't give the spoilers for the finale episode because I haven't seen it.
I won't give the spoilers. I mean, I liked it. I mean, the positives, obviously, Darth Vader, James Earl Jones doing the voice again. It's always cool. And, Ian McGregor's an actor I really like. The kid that played Leia was really good. Yeah. I know Cap said something about pacing, but I didn't have an issue with pacing. I actually found pacing quite old. Actually, I think, in hindsight, episode 1 and 2 could have been a feature length, because episode 2 was just over 30 minutes long. So I think
yes, and I would say because I have only seen 3 episodes. So on the 3 episodes that I saw, it was a little bit draggy for me. It was not punchy enough. It wasn't quick enough for me, but I'm not sure it gets good afterwards.
And the main thing, I mean, I don't follow a lot of this stuff. So I don't know what the whole thing about Moses Ingram was, the actress that plays Reba, criticism or whatever. I actually found her character the most interesting and intriguing.
Okay,
because
I was going to say, I know a couple of weeks ago people were saying that they weren't happy. I don't know what's everything I've seen. I don't get what the issue is. I like her in the show.
Yeah, because this is where
it's where the weird thing is, she is playing a villain, right? So yeah, she is unlikable, but yeah, that's the thing. She's a villain. She's meant to be a unlikable character.
But I don't even dislike her that much. It's I'm I get she's the bad guy. I don't think she's my favourite villain ever. But I've got no problem with her whatsoever.
Because this is where we'll get into the negatives. I found her the most interesting and intriguing character because that's not to say anyone else.
Everyone else was boring.
It's very bad.
No, but I mean in the sense that let's face it, Darth Vader, Kenobi, Luke, Leia. At this point we know their story up front, so there's no jeopardy. There's no episode. You've both seen episode 3.
I didn't like Darth Vader in the episode 3 because one thing is he was being very rational.
When you say episode 3, do you mean episode 3 or do you mean episode 3? Okay.
Episode 3 of the show.
Yeah.
No, episode 3 of the show.
Wait, Anakin is Darth?
But I mean, these characters, they're safe.
Yeah.
The Reba character was, the only out of the main cast, the only character where you don't know her story. You don't know, so I found her the most interesting character in that sense.
Her story, so that would be different for people who actually know the story. So Reva is the Inquisitors, which is explored in the Rebels series, which is the series after Clone Wars, which is also very famous in the Star Wars community. So the Grand Inquisitors are the ones that Jedi use to hunt down Jedi, and they were meant to be killed off after Darth Vader uses them to the extent. In Rebels, they have a good following with some other characters. She's actually a new character. She's not even from the Rebels show. So I'm not completely fully aware of that the lore. So they might find something that they might like the Rebels.
Without giving away any spoilers, she's the only character that in the series gets a story arc.
Yeah.
Because this week's episode was the season finale. There's only 6 episodes. Because
Yeah,
she's the only one
absolutely.
that gets a story arc within those 6 episodes. Everyone else kind of.
And also, people were the one thing is more than the writing. I think they mostly found the performance was not compelling enough for them. Again, I'm not sure what they expected because because I kind of assumed that she was going to be like here the villain, that anti-hero person that was going to be a villain, and then she's going to turn into a good guy. That was what I was expecting when I saw episode 1. But I'm not sure. But if she's meant to be that, if that was their plan, I wouldn't like it because I don't find anything that this person can be turned into a hero. That sort of wise. I think she's not a good villain. Compared to Darth Vader and stuff, yeah, that's kind of a little bit. But I thought she was a good villain, and her performance was okay to play the villain. So I liked it. I didn't find any problems with that. But I would say that if she turns into a good guy, that would be a very hard sell to do.
Well, yeah, but like I don't know, like everyone turns good now. Every villain
No
becomes
bad guys is like now pure bad guys. They're like, oh, I have some issues that I never actually reflected on.
Yeah.
Thank you, hero. Now I'm a good guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So also in the comments, Jimmy Mac says, "Geek fact: George Lucas is stupid." So like, is he though? Is he? He's got a lot of money. He sold away.
Exactly.
Like whether he sold it or didn't sell it, he was rich either way. So it's about whether or not he actually cares about the legacy of what he created or whatever.
I would say like George Lucas, from a writing essay, that there's like good world builders that you can use like tiny, like whether it's technology or whether it's like small detail that easily explains timelines. Easily explains how the flow works as well. Like one thing in the prequels they actually said is that like in the original Star Wars, the ships didn't need like a round thing to get them into hyperspace. But like in the prequels, Obi-Wan Kenobi uses another device to get him into hyperspace, then he detaches. One simple detail proves that how the technology advanced. Some people, I didn't even really notice it until I heard it from the essay. But like that's one of the phrases of George Lucas. In the prequels, however, I think this is the same thing I fear with the next Spider-Verse movie as well. So when the original became very successful, everyone wanted George Lucas to do another one, and they pretty much let him do anything, and he was surrounded by just yes men. Yeah. And also, there was a good videos where like George Lucas asking for, should I do that? And they're like, yep. It's like they literally like in the movies, like the yes men do the action. And I think like they compared it with him and also who's the director of the new Suicide Squad movie?
Oh, James Gunn.
Yeah. So they actually saw how the two directions they actually see it. So like how directors.
Well, do you know, it's like there's an interesting thing about like absolutely what you're saying there, Cap. Like, I'm trying to think. So like, the examples I can give is. Matt Groening, who created The Simpsons, like he did these little sketches, but for the most part, other than the fact that he drew the original concepts, and I'm not saying that he didn't have any involvement, but there's a team of writers that did so much. And then he created Futurama because they wanted the guy who created The Simpsons to make these drawings of the next things. Firstly, when you see Matt Groening draw The Simpsons characters, like anything after like the second year of The Simpsons, they don't look like this anymore when he draws them. He cannot draw the characters to look like this. His style is not this style. So one, he can't draw them. And two, I believe like the first episode of Futurama, he was like a co-writer on it. And it's not a great script. You think, the original creator is going to be the best script. It really isn't. Somewhat the same with Family Guy. Like, Seth MacFarlane is kind of like, he's so talented, he can do all these voices, he can sing incredibly, he's clearly a funny guy. But when you've seen stuff like A Million Ways to Die in the West, which was just, I think he wrote and maybe directed it or whatever, or when they did like this direct-to-DVD cavalcade of cartoon comedy or whatever, and they could be like a lot ruder, uncensored and all that, when you just let these guys do whatever they want, they go too far. And like James Gunn doing Guardians of the Galaxy, it was like, this is great, and it's so many references in that. Suicide Squad, I'm not going to lie, it's not going to go down in history as the greatest film ever. It sucks. You know, it's just constant swearing. It's just like, and like, what's the one with John Cena? Peacemaker. Like that show is just, it's just crap. It's crap.
No!
It's crap. Like, the more I think about it, I don't actually, like, I got through it. I haven't watched the finale yet. I'm not going to lie. It's because I gave up. It's like,
What?
I'm serious. I gave up on it. It's like the Suicide Squad was such a massive letdown. The original was better. But it's because they let James Gunn go crazy with it.
Although, this is the other point, so this kind of squad with everything. So when they actually did the essay, they was actually make sure that James Gunn did actually do a great job with the new Suicide Squad film, and that's how show the comparison between George Lucas in the prequels and James Gunn control over the new Suicide Squad. So the video is from the Authentic Observer or something like that. He's a good, he's a UK guy. He analyzes like scripts or the writing of certain movies, and he does a better job. And he actually gets sponsored to do like writing seminars and stuff. Really good, interesting videos. I will tell you the name at the end of the recommendation list. So what I'm trying to say is that, like, yeah, I do agree. When it becomes a success, the creative freedom is so much, and also the people around them probably not qualified, so they can only give positive feedback or even negative feedback. And I think the main problem is understanding what their vision is. See, I think the creators, like, even with full control, the visions could be very good, but the execution where it fails. And the problem, I think, is the people who actually, the yes men, don't truly understand it, so they just agree with whatever they say, so they can't actually put any constructive, positive or negative subjects actually executed very well. That's why I actually fear for the new Spider-Verse movie.
I think what's going to happen with the new Spider-Verse film is, after the first Avengers film, everyone's like, oh, this is amazing, Joss Whedon did such a good job. And then when he did the second one, they were like, yeah, this is great. Well, actually, it's not quite as good as the first one. And I think that's going to be the same thing, where everyone's going to be like, yeah, it's great, but it's not quite as good as the first one.
But I would say, like, honestly, Avengers Age of Ultron, I really like that one. Even though massively it did not actually gain as much popularity as the Avengers one. But I thought Ultron was a great villain. And I think that was the last of the guy who did Joss Whedon's greatness, I think. Avengers, the second Avengers.
Do you know what? I didn't think Ultron... Have you seen What If?
Yes, I know a bit. I haven't seen it.
Oh my god, I won't give the spoilers then, but they...
No, you can give me spoilers.
Okay, so,
because I heard of them.
Like, each of the episodes is kind of standalone, and there's the character, the Watcher, that you see throughout. And it does suddenly all connect together, where the different versions of Thor or Captain Carter or whoever you've seen along the way do end up having to team together as like a different version of the Avengers to take on Ultron in the last two-part story. And the finale part isn't the greatest, but the first half of it, the first part, where they build up the idea of what if Ultron won, like, Ultron is as good there, and he's so much better in What If than I thought he was in Age of Ultron. You know, I was like, finally, Ultron is done right.
I think the thing is that they tossed him too early. I think Ultron, could have been something very close to Thanos or after Thanos would have been great. Because before even the Avengers movies, the animated Avengers movies came out, I think that was the ultimate universe. And in that ultimate universe, Ultron was the one who kills all the Avengers. And the only people who are left is Tony, and Bruce Banner, and the children of the Avengers. Yeah. So I would say, from that exposure, I thought Ultron was like the really, really big bad. But in the movies, yeah, he went out too soon. But I agree with everything Ultron said, and they actually followed it through. Like when Ultron was on there, Thanos was easily about to win. But where it gets problematic is that because Tony failed with Ultron, that's why he created Vision. That's like his success. Okay, I made things right. Vision would be better than Ultron. But Vision was completely useless in the Infinity War.
I know, like, he's literally, in Age of Ultron, he's got Thor's hammer. You know, he's like, oh my god, he can fly, he can shoot beams out of his face. And then after that, he's just, yeah.
Bumpkus, bumpkiss opening scene. I think he gets a spear through his heart, and that's it. His entire arc is like the Superman of the Marvel. Ruined. I think that's where it actually went all shit. I think it was the Russo brothers who actually went in for Civil War and Infinity War, so they weren't able to properly build it up. And the problem was this, though. Avengers, at that time, had too many powerful heroes, when you think about it. I mean, Thor was basically enough to fight Thanos. So, and they had to contradict their own point. So in Thor Ragnarok, they said, okay, Odin says, like, are you Thor, the god of hammers? You don't need the hammers. You're the god of thunder. You can generate thunder by yourself. You don't need it. But in Infinity War, he's like, I need a new hammer. I'm so weak. Oh no, I got the shit kicked out of me. So, yeah, they contradict themselves pretty easily.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, speaking of the children of the Avengers, not that this is a child of the Avengers, I did see this week the 3rd episode of Ms. Marvel. And I'll tell you what, it finally got good. I won't give the spoilers if you haven't seen it, but we get some action, basically. And I'll tell you, and the thing is, if they'd given us some of this, you need to have some action in episode 1, and there wasn't any.
Yeah.
And then if you suddenly have an episode where it's like, oh, it was a bit more of a character episode, and, you know, we learned a bit more about the character, you feel like you've earned it. But if it just was too much of a teen drama when like the first 2 episodes, and I'll be honest, even episode 3, it gives you a decent amount of action, but it makes you wait for it. Oh boy, it makes you wait. But it finally got going. Oh, we've lost Andrew. He's back.
They used to do like this, right? They first sometimes do the best, and the episode 1 used to be the very best, and we get all pumped up for the next one. Then it drags out.
Yeah. Oh,
then we're like,
Andrew, like, Cap, I don't know, like, you might genuinely be a little bit too young for this example that I'm going to give. Andrew, you might get what I mean. So many shows that would be on, like, in the 1990s, possibly the 1980s as well, but so many shows would be, like, the first episode would almost feel like you're watching a movie. And it would be like how you get before there was, like, constant, like, CSI New York, CSI LA and all this kind of thing, whatever it is. There was like loads of different shows, but in the end everything was CSI or NCIS or whatever. But all these different shows, there'd be like something really exciting in the first episode and it'd feel like a movie. And then after that, it would just become so formulaic where it was just like a 2-minute fight scene at the end. And then everything's reset back and no one ever dies and no new characters ever join in. Like, every single week, there'd be, like, a show where there'd be, like, 4 main characters. There'd be, like, the main guy, like, his friend, his girlfriend, and then the old man who gives advice. And then someone new comes into town, and it would either be that they're the villain that needs defeating in a 2-minute fight, or it would be someone who at the end's like, why don't you stick around? It's like, well, no, I need to go save the young people. And then they'd go. And this was every show in the 90s. Every show.
Now it's the opposite. They give the filler right in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, nowadays, like, the one thing I do like, and you guys tell me your opinion on this, what do you prefer? Do you prefer shows where it's like a story of, like, standalone story each week? Or do you prefer something where it builds up the story and it follows on, like, in a serialized way?
I like both. Depends on the show.
Well, thanks for that, Andrew. That's given us all something to work with there. Okay, well,
it depends on the show. Like something like Looney Tunes, not the early 15 minutes one.
No, I didn't expect that there was going to be a 12-part episode like story of Looney Tunes.
So, you guys remember, like, Looney Tunes did a reboot in 2012 where they like took a Seinfeld-like approach with the Looney Tunes characters. So there is no continuum in the story. It's basically kind of like The Simpsons. Each episode can play out on its own, and each episode was punchy. That was the best thing. Every joke was like landing. But again, there are some shows where you do need to build up to the big baddie. So I think it all depends on what sort of shows. So I think like in He-Man, you get like a He-Man. The first episode, you get He-Man gets the sword, and we build up the main bad guy, Skeletor. But like the second episode feels like a cycle. So okay, we have the protagonist and the antagonist. This is gonna happen forever and ever. Each day, Skeletor is gonna come up with a new plan, and then He-Man has to stop it. That was basically the formula to the show. So you guys seem classic. So does He-Man have a finale where finally He-Man defeats Skeletor? Does that happen?
No,
In He-Man?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think it happened in the 80s.
Really?
No, I don't think so.
That show has no ending.
I don't think it had an ending. Like they didn't care about endings back then. They cared about selling toys. So they'd keep coming up with new characters so they could make a toy of them. And then when they realise they're not selling as many toys, they just cancel it.
I know the Pants He-Man had an ending, but I'm not sure how it ended. So there was He-Man, and there was a girl who had hair, and it had some.
A girl that had hair.
Yeah, like
Shit,
very long
revolutionary.
Hair. So I remember him, He-Man, and then Skeletor, and probably Evelyn, but I'm not sure because this is like a new timeline where they've traveled to the future. So yeah, they're battling. That's like a 2-part episode in Pants He-Man. I didn't fully watch it. I was like, oh, okay, great, and I turned off the TV. But I thought that was the finale episode for that.
Okay. Andrew, what about you? Like, give the examples. What things do or don't work? If you say depends on the show.
But okay, I do prefer stuff that kind of, you know, as like a story arc, or you know, isn't just. I mean, there's some shows where you have, you know, stuff that carries over into each episode, but you know, there's usually something standalone within that episode.
Yeah, sure.
And then there's stuff like, I'm trying to think of it. I know Dexter News, like I like those sorts of shows that like build to.
It all just pretty much carries on.
Yeah.
I would say like you can do like this is what animated series do. Like the time I grew up, there would be a main bad guy who would be appearing in every season, but like each season would have one plot. So like this time the bad guy's doing this. That's the focus of this season. They would bring in like guest episode where they would introduce new characters, and in each episode, like Andrew said, there would be something standalone. But like there would be one key detail that would carry over to the next episode, and the season ends. That's where the main plan is ruined. And then the second season, there would be another plan, probably a new bad guy, or probably the same bad guy, but with a new plan to take over the world.
Well, yeah, okay, so I'm going to come back to this in just 1 second. So, first of all, Jimmy Mack says in the comments, I want to see what Skeletor looked like when he had flesh. I bet he was really handsome. Now, Jimmy Mack, I have a treat for you, because I can show you what Skeletor looks like with flesh. And there he is. That is literally Skeletor with flesh, because he played Skeletor in the live action film.
Really?
Yeah, Frank Langella played Skeletor in the.
He also played Dracula in 1970.
He also played Richard Nixon and wasn't very good at it. Right, so I want to see an episode of He-Man where Skeletor has a kid and they never call attention to the fact that Skeletor doesn't have a dick. Now, hang on. Yes, he does. If you should watch on Netflix the very wonderfully produced...
don't recommend him that torture.
Masters of the Universe Revelation, because in it, Skeletor gets the Sword of Power, and Evil Lynn then seduces him so that she can take it from him. And she literally says to him, she's like, it's basically booty call time. But Evil Lynn is like, you're going to have to, put down the Sword of Power, because if you're this powerful, if you've got the power of Grayskull, then you will pulverize me, basically, when what happens. So she makes him put down the sword, and then she just picks it up, and she's like, I've got the power. And so literally, she booty calls Skeletor out of the Sword of Power. So, anyway, what I was going to say, coming back to... Hang on, one second. So, coming back to the different show types, to give the examples of, my thoughts on it, is, especially in the 80s and 90s, you'd get things like Magnum P.I., you'd get things or even older, you'd get Quincy, you'd get Diagnosis Murder, and all these kind of things, and there'd be 4 or 5 main characters with one, truly main character. And then every week there'd be a villain turn up, they'd get defeated and outsmarted within that episode, and they'd have so much to pack into that one, 40-minute show, where it would be just showing what the regular characters are up to, and then whatever they're up to is going to somehow turn out to be relevant towards the end, and then suddenly a new character turns up, or someone dies, and whoever this new person that turns up is, clearly they're the culprit, and then they have a few interactions along the way, a little bit of peril, the bad guy gets away, and then it's like, right, what are we going to do? And then it gets to about 2/3 of the way through the show, suddenly it looks like the heroes are going to lose, and then they do something to outsmart the villain using whatever the idea, whatever task they were doing at the beginning of the show was. And then everything ends up back where it started. And so many shows were like that. And it was just so predictable and so boring. Now, for me, shows like Stargate or Quantum Leap or Sliders, where there were, or even Doctor Who, where there was a reason why every episode would have a contained story. So in Stargate, every episode they'd go to a different planet. In Sliders, every episode they'd go into a different parallel dimension. In Quantum Leap, it would be the story of each different time period that the main character time travelled to. It would make sense that things would wrap up and not carry over. For me, those always worked. When you then started getting things like 24, Prison Break, Lost even. Now, Lost is interesting because they'd have like a story which is contained within the episode as well as continuing an overall story. And sometimes they'd be a bit hit and miss because of that format. But when you started getting things like Breaking Bad, where each week would just build upon, and it might have like a story that it's telling within, but it was just like you can tell such richer stories that way, that for me, that's what truly works. The Simpsons, I don't mind if it's like at the end of each episode it's the same and Maggie's always a baby. I'm cool with that. But for the most part, I think nowadays, like when you watch, even though it's a few years old, when you'd have like Smallville or if you have like Supergirl and stuff like this, and it's whatever villain turns up, it gets defeated by Supergirl or the Flash or whatever each week. It's just like by the end of like 3 seasons, they've defeated like 46 bad guys. And it's just like, you know, in Breaking Bad, it like took 4 seasons to defeat the bad guy. You know, so it's just like build up, don't waste the bad guy. We said earlier that did they waste Ultron too quickly? On these TV shows, they just waste bad guys left, right, and centre. And it's like, and how many times can the Joker get away from Batman before you just say that Batman sucks?
Oh my god! So I actually hated the fact that the new Batman movies also teased the Joker. Like, give the other villains a chance. They have other fascinating villains. I mean, the thing is that like we all know that when you play the Joker, everyone's going to compare him to the Dark Knight version, and probably you're not going to beat him. Now there's also another Joker which also has a following. So again, you're going to be judged in both ways. So the best thing you can do, just like leave out that character, flesh out the other characters, and then pop him up. Oh, when you run out of ideas, when you can't do anything good, you're like, oh, we're bringing the Joker back.
Well, yeah, exactly. If in doubt, Jared Leto, it's Morbin time. He should be the only Joker.
Oh my god. The DC's right now, I'm not sure how it's going to go. The Flash movie, I'm not even sure it's going to come out or not.
Well, yeah, because I didn't read the story, but the headline was that Ezra Miller has got like guns and marijuana or something like this on a farm with kids or something. I don't know what the story is. It sounds pretty bad.
It's basically. I mean, like Jared Leto has a cult. I think Ezra Miller basically is a serial killer, just in Hollywood, probably.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm not sure. I don't know anything about the evidence, but like from what I see, it's like I think it's like another thing. Like if you followed UFC, like this has literally happened after John Jones had his breakout scene, and then next is Ezra Miller. It's very similar when they like carried out by the police when David's like where he's still like whining on. It's like very similar to John Jones, like banging his head in the police car.
Yeah, I don't know, but like obviously the Flash. Like, whatever they do in that film, it's basically multiverse again. And this was actually, we started this by saying, why was Multiverse of Madness the way it was? Who was that for? That was partly that Marvel looked at DC and they were like, shit, they're bringing back Michael Keaton. We need to do something. And so they rushed to put all the... Because, like, the DC films, they always seem to take a lot longer to come out Like, I feel like
Yeah.
we were hearing about the Suicide Squad for like 4 years before we saw it. Whereas like DC, Marvel films, it'll be like they'll announce something this year, it'll come out at the end of next year. But so like, because we knew we were going to get all of like this multiverse stuff with the Flash. I think what they should do is just get the guy who plays the Flash on TV, and whatever they like, they should look at that film and think, right, what can we refilm with the guy from the TV show, and just like halfway through, just like introduce him, and then just follow him and just like forget Ezra Miller was there.
Oh, just edit the. I mean, like for Flash, most of the time he's going to be wearing the mask, right? So you just have to edit the lower face. I mean, it'll probably be bad as Superman.
What? Yeah, this is mustache territory all over again.
But instead of hiring the other guys, hire the one that Snyder hired. Well, Snyder didn't actually edit the mustache, right? He basically.
Okay, so look, I am certain there is a weird conspiracy theory or something going on around Zack Snyder's Justice League, because the whole thing about that film coming out, and then when it was going to come out, it's like, wow, like they are going to continue this. They're going to put right what once went wrong. But it's like suddenly since then, everything has been like, well, Henry Cavill, for some reason, who everyone seems to like, isn't going to be Superman anymore.
Warner Bros. Doesn't like Henry Cavill.
But it's
no
all
idea
of them.
why.
Like there is something going on. It's like Lex Luthor is out there in real life somewhere taking out the Justice League. I'm telling you, because Henry Cavill, for some reason, they don't want him back. And Ben Affleck, it was like, oh, he's not going to come back, and then he's just going to come back, and then we're going to bring back Michael Keaton to basically replace Ben Affleck. But we've also got Robert Pattinson. But none of this means anything, because like we said, there's 4 different Jokers at the moment. But then it's like, okay, so Ezra Miller he's going crazy. And, because if you watch the Snyder Cut, one of the ones who was there in the future was Mira, which was Amber Heard. And it's like, now they're trying to cut her out. It's like, literally everyone who Zack Snyder cast is being surgically removed from the DC multiverse. Like, literally all of them.
I think
Wonder Woman is like Wonder Woman and Aquaman are the only 2 left.
And Shazam. Because
but Snyder didn't cast Shazam.
Yeah, that's true. But here's the thing, though. Dwayne Johnson really wants Henry Cavill Superman to have a fight with him. He really wants that Superman.
And if Dwayne Johnson can't make it happen, then what is going on?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, Warner Bros. Again, they announced they're doing a new Superman on the dude's birthday. I mean, like, all the hatred is like, for some reason, that for a studio to hate that guy, I don't understand it, because like he's right now is the most profitable, I think, for DC, because he has a huge fan base because of The Witcher, and again for other stuff as well.
No, the most profitable is Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Like that
Really?
film cost nothing, and it made
$1 billion. I mean like star power. What I mean is like currently their star power is, I think Henry Cavill is the one who has the most star power out of all of them.
I don't
when
know.
you think about it,
I don't know. I know you like the Witcher cap, but I think you're biased here, right? I think you're biased.
I would honestly say, like, think about it, right? Who else? Jason Momoa, I think he also has a certain popularity because of Game of Thrones and stuff. But other than that, like, instead of The Rock, look at the entire cast. Batfleck, okay, probably, but like, other than Gal Gadot, there is no dude hero that they have as popular as Henry Cavill.
What about the Twilight guy? People like those movies.
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
I mean, right now he has good cred, but again, for Superman, who's better?
No, Henry Cavill there is not another actor who I could recast Henry Cavill with as Superman. There is no one who I think looks more like Superman than him. You know.
I mean, I would argue Brendan Routh, but he's now old.
He doesn't look like he looks exactly like Clark Kent. He never looks enough to be Superman.
David, they're the same person.
No. He exudes Clark Kent of being like the mild-mannered reporter. He was brilliant. Superman, right? He wasn't as hench. Right, no, but like he wasn't as hench as even Christopher Reeve, and that was an era where they didn't have to be hench, right? So it's just like, anyway, Andrew, how's things on the hub?
I'm good.
Who's your favorite Superman, Andrew?
I don't have a favourite. I'm not a Superman fan.
Jesus Christ.
What?
Okay, Andrew, look, tell us things. What geek stuff is on your mind right now?
Well, nothing really.
What?
I'll be honest.
What? Look.
Geek stuff. I mean.
What are you doing here then? No, right. No, give us something, man.
I'm looking forward to Love and Thunder. I wasn't sure at first, but now I've decided I will go see it. It was always a maybe, but now I'm more inclined to.
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you what, Andrew. What was that film Last Night in Soho? I saw that. You mentioned that last week.
Oh yeah, Edgar Wright. Came out October of last year.
What? Okay, so what did you think of it? Was it good?
Oh, I loved it.
You loved it?
Yeah, I loved it.
Why?
I'm always drawn to films that don't necessarily look or feel like every other film that comes out. That's a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, blah blah blah. So any film that comes out that grabs my attention.
Okay, here is my view on it, and I am aware that maybe I'm giving a passionate view about things, and it's like maybe I'm going all in on one direction or the other on some of these things. I don't quite mean it that way, but if it wasn't for the fact it was an Edgar Wright film and that intrigued me, I would have given up about 25 minutes in. When it first had the thing where there was the two girls who were the same girl or not the same girl, but she was seeing herself as the girl, I was like, what the hell is happening? If it wasn't for the fact that Matt Smith, who played Doctor Who, was in those scenes, I would have switched off. Right? They didn't do enough, I think, to establish that this is a ghost or it's a possession or something to know quite what was going on. It took a long time to start making that clear. And I do think the idea that thinking that your audience will just stick with me and all will become clear, I think that's an idea which this film pushed, not quite to the limit, but it pushed it a lot. Where by the end I was like, oh yeah, and it all made sense and it all came together and I enjoyed it by the end. But I feel like it's a film that now I know what happened, when I go back and watch it again, I might get more things from it. But in the first watching of it, I was literally going on the faith of, genuinely, oh, this is the film Andrew mentioned, as one. Two, oh, it's directed by Edgar Wright, so I'm going to see where it goes. And three, Matt Smith is in it. But I was like, hang on, isn't that the girl from Emma? Why is she suddenly in this? And why is she changed actress? In the reflections and stuff. It was just a bit odd. Almost lost me, but earned it back in the end.
Isn't that like some films where you watch it and you go, oh, it's brilliant, wow. I can't explain, I didn't watch it again to actually explain the details about the brilliance. I just know it's brilliant.
Oh, that's a good idea. We'll do a game in a moment. This has been more of a talky one this week, I guess, but we'll do a game to wrap things up. But can you give an example of a film which you thought was brilliant, but you can't really explain why, either of you?
Tenet.
Tenet? Really?
Yeah.
What?
I've only seen it once when I saw it at the cinema. I need to rewatch it at some point.
But
you probably need to go and look at thermodynamics to actually. Oh yeah, so this is what they're trying to do to actually get a grip.
I didn't find Tenet that hard to follow, apart from the climax, even the climax, I could follow. It's okay. This group are inverted. This group aren't. One of the characters switches at some point. If I have any questions, it's more like the more technical stuff, how did that, whatever.
But I've only seen Tenet once, and again, I wouldn't necessarily say that I thought it was brilliant, but I feel because it's got the Christopher Nolan Inception kind of high concept thing about it, I think it's I think it'd be easy to say that if you thought it was brilliant, it's kind of clear that it's trying something big and you were talking about being biased. You were talking about being biased. I'm completely biased when it comes to Christopher Nolan. Okay. What's your favourite Christopher Nolan film?
Favourite?
Yeah.
Bloody hell. I'm not sure actually. I mean, it's.
The one film you say will remain, and the other film will disappear.
Oh, that's a game.
We're not doing that. I mean, Inception and The Dark Knight, I love. Memento, I watched that again a while back. And some of Nolan's films, I actually find each time I watch Inception, it's just for some reason better than the last time I watched it. I can't explain how Nolan does it, but his films are very rewatchable, most of them.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know, like, for me, I'd absolutely choose The Dark Knight just because I'm biased towards, like, Batman and superhero stuff. But what else is, like you say, Memento, Interstellar?
Dunkirk, I love.
I've not. That's one film I haven't seen yet.
I haven't either.
Wow.
That's not one film of Christopher Nolan's I haven't seen either.
Oh, you should.
Okay, wow. How about this?
There is a film where the protagonist is a guy with short-term memory, something like, right?
Memento. Okay, hang on. No, Jimmy Mack has commented in the comment section, and I agree. So he said a couple of things. I watched Tenet alone and said, holy shit, about aloud at the reveal. But then he says The Prestige was the best Nolan film. I agree. The Prestige is awesome. Such a good film.
It is, but again, Dark Knight, I would still say I liked it more because of the action.
No, it's The Prestige, cat. No, okay, so yeah,
there's no fight scenes, David. It can't. I mean,
wait, no fight scenes in The Prestige.
I mean, nothing compared to Batman fighting criminals.
Like, what's his face? Christian Bale gets his finger shot off. What's that if that's not action?
Yeah, I think something.
Like a canary gets crushed in a cage.
Okay, David, I know action, but I'm saying like gun fu, sword fighting action, not
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, action.
But like you have David Bowie walking through electricity. Hugh Jackman gets killed in that film more than he does as Wolverine.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, like in that terms, I would say yeah. Okay, then you have Hugh Jackman spoken.
Okay, so just on the theme of The Prestige, so we have the famous disappearing man or whatever it was called. Which person goes into the box and which person comes out? Like, is it that, like, to me, is Hugh Jackman, when he was like here and then teleporting there, but then there's two of them, when there was just one of them, is he the one that stands there and it just clones him here? Or does he get transported and it leaves a duplicate? Which one goes into the box?
Yeah,
I haven't seen the film in a while.
No, I have a definite theory on this.
What is it?
Well, okay, so there is the container where one appears, right? With the technology, and if you think about the technology, if the idea was that it was teleporting the original into this box, how would this technology then leave an exact duplicate where the original was standing? I don't believe it. All I think it's doing is creating a clone of the original over here. That's what makes sense to me.
But with what? See, Christopher Nolan actually does really good science. I mean,
Look, it was invented by Jareth the Troll King from Labyrinth, so like it makes sense. Like you don't need to know with what.
The problem is because there is sound science in what Christopher Nolan does. In Interstellar, he did time dilation. Inception, Inception. I'm not really sure what sort of science did that. But with, like in Tenet, it's thermodynamics. So in Prestige, there isn't like a bat for a clone to appear or biological material for the clone to grow, actually. It's just there. First I thought it was some sort of original hologram. Then that would be true, right? If it's a hologram, then Hugh Jackman doesn't have to have an existential dread about killing the other one.
Yeah.
Because,
but he does
I
kill
highly recommend this book. You haven't read it.
The Nolan Variations. Wow.
Yeah. Got it for Christmas. If you're a Christmas over that, it's a good read.
I've written more books than I've read, Andrew, I'm going to be honest. Right, so, no, I'm joking. Right, okay, so...
I read one book.
Okay, well, maybe not for long. Right, okay, so Jimmy Mack says, the holodeck has the same question as the transported man. It's a suicide box. And the idea is, like, when you see teleportation in Star Trek or whatever, or I don't know about the holodeck, actually, but I just know in Star Trek, when they beam you up, the idea is that they're destroying you, and then recreating you? So is it like that they're destroying you, killing you, and then creating a new version, a duplicate? Is it just like a 3D printer that like destroys this one and creates one there? And by that same logic, couldn't it just create a duplicate here without destroying that one? If you know, because I would never tell. Like, okay, what is that film? The Arnold Schwarzenegger film, The Sixth Stage. You remember it?
Is it the one where he gets cloned?
Yes, it's the one where he gets cloned.
Oh,
That
yeah.
literally goes on the idea that, oh, I can just get killed and then clone. But then the Arnold Schwarzenegger acts. They think he's a helicopter pilot, and so then they clone him. And then when he goes home, because he'd swapped with someone else, there's another one of him there. But then later in the film, there's the bad guy. I think he was the bad guy in the movie Ghost. I forget the actor's name. But he's the bad guy, and like he's mortally wounded, so he's cloning himself. And then another one turns up, and he may not be quite finished. It was a bit like Judge Dredd or whatever. So he turns up and he's just like starts to undress the one that's dying. And the one that's dying is like, you're not going to wait for me to die first. And it's the whole point is like, I would never see safety in cloning myself if like it's just a different person. This other person is taking over.
I mean, that is the reason why they outlawed cloning in the first place, right? In real life.
Why?
I mean, you can actually clone yourself, David. It is a complete possibility.
Oh, yeah, I know,
But-
like Dolly the sheep.
Yeah, but that's one of the reasons why they actually banned it. The government all banned it. Don't clone yourself. I mean, you're going to have some existential crisis, and pretty much the clone might try to murder you to take your place. I mean, in inside, it is you.
If you could clone yourself, though, you'd be tapping that, right? No, I'm joking. Right, so... Okay, hang on, let's have a look. Jimmy Mac says, yes, I meant the transporter, not the holodeck. Same tech, though. Right, let's do something just silly to end on so we can have a conclusion to this. We've gone into the weeds here today. Who would have thought? Right, but let's have a game of... I'm going to get a movie, and you're going to have 1 minute to guess what it is, okay? Or it doesn't have to be a movie. What would you like to guess, either of you? Andrew, you can go first. You'll have 1 minute to ask me as many yes/no questions as you can. What are you trying to work out?
Movie.
A movie. Okay, so let's get up the suggestion app, xstreamed.tv/suggestions, and then the app pops up, and I've got a movie. Okay, let's make it something geek related. Okay, I've got something. You're going to have 1 minute on the clock, and go.
Is it a superhero movie?
No.
Is it a Christopher Nolan movie?
No.
Did it come out in the 90s?
No.
Is it sci-fi?
No.
Is it comedy?
No.
Is it fantasy?
Yes.
And is it Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
Which one?
Is it one of the original trilogy ones?
Yes.
Fellowship of the Ring?
No.
The Two Towers?
No.
Return of the King?
Yes! There you go. It was Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Well done, Andrew. Got it in under 40 seconds. And for that, I'm going to give you 6 points, because otherwise we don't have a very high scoring round. Right, so, Capital Fave, what would you like to figure out this time?
Let's go with the movie. Yeah.
A movie, okay. Okay, and here you go.
Is it a superhero film?
No.
Is it a fantasy film?
No.
Is it a sci-fi film?
Yes. Sci-fi
It
fantasy,
came
but
out-
more sci-fi.
Oh, is it Star Wars?
Yes.
Is it the original trilogy?
Yes.
Oh my god. Is it Return of the Jedi?
No.
Is it, what's the other three one? Oh, I don't know. Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, wait, Rebel, no, I can't get the name. Revenge of the Sith?
No.
The second one, it has to be the middle one. What's the middle one? Death Star?
No.
Star Wars, the Death Star? Star Wars,
10 seconds left.
Oh
oh my god. Dave Meakin, help me.
Oh, that is time. That is time. Andrew, I'm going to hand it over. And what do you think it is?
The Empire Strikes Back.
Yes, it is! Well done, well done. Another 6 points, which I think might make it so that you're definitely going to win. Okay. So, let's have a look. Now then. Okay, so now you get to challenge me. Andrew, you get to challenge me first. Could you think of a movie for me, please?
Okay, I got one.
Okay, and here I go. Is it a Christopher Nolan movie?
No.
Is it science fiction?
No.
Is it action?
Yeah.
Is it fantasy?
No.
Would we consider it geeky?
No.
Oh, for God's sake. Is Bruce Willis in it?
No.
Did it come out in the 90s?
No.
80s?
No.
Noughties?
Yes.
2000 to 2010?
Yeah.
Is Jason Statham in it?
No.
I have no idea then. Is it about terrorists?
No.
Is it The Fast and the Furious?
No.
Is it The Empire Strikes Back? Right, no, okay. Oh, God, I'm not going to get it. Right, action film. Is Jackie Chan in it?
No.
Is it a comedy? He's frozen. He's definitely frozen. This isn't my fault. I definitely had time left. I can't believe we're never going to find out the answer to this question. Andrew, can you still hear us?
I haven't guessed what film it is.
Oh, shit. Well, that sucks. Right.
What?
Oh, no, you're back. You're back. Right. Okay, I'm going to give myself an extra 15 seconds.
Am I still there?
Right. Okay, so continuing on.
Still not
And
going to get it.
what? I'll never get it.
never get
Is there a well-known movie star in it? Oh my God, I'm going to shoot myself. Right, okay, and that is time. Okay, I give up. Cap, I don't think we can hand it over, because if you can't answer for me.
I think it's John Wick.
Oh. Andrew, put into the comments, what the hell is it?
What's the movie?
It's John Wick. Oh my God, this is like ultimate tease here. Right, Capital Fave. You get to
Give
challenge
us
me.
a sign, Andrew. We'll wait for you.
Okay, Capital Fave. What would you like to challenge me with then?
What do you want? A movie, book, comic?
I'm gonna. Oh, he's gone. He's gone. He's literally gone. Right. Okay. I'm going to ask for a character.
A character. Oh. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, and here I go. Is it an animated character?
Yes. Also.
Are they ever played by a live-action actor?
Yes.
Ugh. Has there been a live-action film of this character?
Yes.
Are they a superhero?
No.
Are they from a video game?
There is a video game.
Oh my God. Right. Are they best known as an animated character?
Not sure about that, but yeah, it's pretty famous.
Were they a cartoon before they were a movie?
No.
Ah, so like, did the movie they were in come out in the 90s?
There was a movie in the 90s and also before the times as well.
Oh, is it Ghostbusters?
No.
Is it Men in Black?
No.
Is it Stargate?
No.
Is it? Oh, I don't know. I'm out of time. Right. Okay. Well, look. Andrew's won this anyway. I think there's a little bit of chicanery going on.
But what's the movie? What's the movie?
Okay.
The Last Samurai.
The Last Samurai. Okay. Captain, what was your character?
Tarzan.
Oh no! Oh no! Right. Okay. So with that, we're going to wrap things up there. Andrew, you are this week's Geek of the Week. So well done. Well done. And with this, Capithave, where can the people find you on social media?
You can find me on Xstreamed on multiple shows. Also, you can find me on Some Deeds, where I sing, I dance, I was in a bucket, and I worked with puppets. Some Deeds on YouTube. There's a Facebook page and TikTok. Phoenix360. It's everywhere, basically.
Awesome. Andrew, where can the people find you?
You can find me back here next week at some point.
Awesome stuff. My name is David Pstansky. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at David Pstansky. And also go to www.xstreamed.tv for loads of articles, loads of podcasts, loads of videos. Smash the subscribe button on all of the UK channels, all of the YouTube channels. And like they're in the UK, but you can watch them worldwide, which is good as well. So until next time, stay safe, always stay extreme, stay freaking geeky, and ciao for now. Boom!